Hi everyone, it's Anne here from Positively Papercraft. Now, you may remember when I made the desktop die holder, I did say I would make something else because people were asking us to do a die storage or a stamp binder, and I've come up with this. Now, I think it's absolutely beautiful and it's a really neat design. Putting these rings in here, it means that they don't flap around. And we've got boards to store our dies on. I've made 5, but it could definitely hold 10 at least. So if you stick around, I'm going to show you how to make it. Alright everyone, so let's make this die storage binder. Now I'm using this grey board. I get this from Amazon. I'll put a link if you want to use that, but really any kind of chipboard or even a few sort of cereal boxes glued together, because we do need to make this quite thick, because you've got to think dies are heavy, so we need a good strong material to make it from. So you're going to need 2 pieces for your back and front. They are 8 by 8 inches. Your spine is 3.5 by 8 inches. Okay, now we're going to do this different from how I would normally put, like, say, a mini album together. We're going to do it in separate pieces. So I've chose my paper. This is going to be the front, so I've already covered the front, and then I'm going to cover the back the exact same way. So I've cut my paper to 10 by 10 inches and I've scored all 4 sides at 1 inch. I've took the 8 by 8 chipboard and I've just put some double-sided tape on. So I'm going to just get the back ends off. And then I'm going to put it in the score lines. So you can see I've scored at 1 inch on all 4 sides, and that should fit nicely in there. And then just fold them over. I've already got the score lines, so it makes it a bit easier. Okay, so again, I'm going to use my little miter tool from Colorway Arts. Now, I get asked about this all the time. I bought it from the lady's website in America and she shipped over here. But unfortunately, like a lot of things since Brexit, I think she isn't shipping to the UK anymore, which is such a shame, because I think personally it's messed everything up. But that's another story. Apparently someone said she sells them on her Etsy site, which does ship over here to the UK, so I'm going to have a look for that after this video and see. I think someone found plastic ones, but I mean, they may be okay, but it's just if you catch them with your knife and things, they're going to end up all sort of butchered really. But I'll have a little look, see if I can find anything else. So you just put it on, and I actually just use this from B&M. It's like a Stanley knife, but it's really good, and you get loads of spare blades, and then you just really run it over and it will cut off. It will cut it off to get the right amount you need for your corners, and it just saves you guessing it really, that's all. So now we need tape on all 4 of our sides here, and I also put glue on, but I'm going to show you that when we come to stick it down. Alright, so let's just say we're going to start with this end. So remove the tape Then I come along with my art glitter glue and I put that on the bits that the tape hasn't caught, and then just fold it over, make sure it's all stuck. Then go to the opposite side, do the same again. Now, to get nice neat corners, I just use this bone folder for my scoreboard. Just push these corners in. I'm going to show you a close-up of them in a minute. They need to wrap around the top of the chipboard. Can you see what I've done there? I've just pushed the corners in, so they're like that. So literally just come along, just do that, and it will push them in. So peel the tape off again. You want to make sure you get a bit of glue on there, just like that, to make sure that those corners are going to stick. And then plenty glue on the rest. Then fold it over. And then just press your little corners. And I'll show you in a minute, it does give a lovely, neat, professional finish. You can see that there. That is an absolute perfect corner. And that's what we want with, you know, something like this. We want it to be as professional looking as we can. Because I'm either going to store my layering dies in here or my sentiment dies. I haven't decided yet, but one of the two is going to be for this. And then of course you could make a collection of them. You could make, you know, for each kind of dies, like frame dies, or like I say, sentiment dies, background dies, whatever you want. You could have a lovely collection. So there we go. We have what would be our front and back covers. Now, this is where we're doing it a bit different. So we've got our spine here, which is going to be something like this. Okay, so you wouldn't get a piece of paper, patterned paper, the length of this. You know, the only really are 12 by 12 is the largest that I know of. So what I've done is I've picked a piece of card that sort of matches the colours in this beautiful paper pad. Just quickly, this paper pad is Eastern Opulence. Absolutely beautiful paper pad. I'll put the link for this as well. I think you can still get them on Amazon. Absolutely beautiful. So that's what I'm using. So what I've done is I've took a piece of card. Let me see, I've wrote it down. It is, I should have wrote it down. Oh, damn, hang on. So it's 8 1/4, and I've cut it down to 10. So 8 1/4 by 10 inches. And on the long side, I've scored at 1 inch on both sides. Okay, so I've scored at 1 inch, turned it round, 1 inch again. And this is going to be for our spine. So what will happen is we'll have our front cover. We will have, so the front cover is going to sort of go about here. So it's going to overlap on this piece of paper. And then we're going to have our spine. Then we're going to have our back cover. Do you see? This is how we're going to join it, like this. These bits will obviously get stuck over like we've just done with them. So I'll try and show you, when we have the album, we're going to have this border around the spine. But what I want to do is I want to have a nice fancy sort of punch along here. We don't need to punch these bits because they're going to be folded over. So I've took a border punch. This is the Vaseline Creative, really nice punches. I have a few of these. They're really reasonably priced as well. So it collects all the little bits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch a nice little border . Okay, so that's done. Now to turn it over, because this will be the outside, that will be the outside. So the spine, we want to get the spine in the middle of this as much as possible. You can measure it, but you know me, I'm just going to guesstimate it. So first thing, we need tape on . So tape on the back, try and get this in the middle as much as possible. So I'm going to go for there and hope it's virtually in the middle. Maybe it could have gone that way a bit, but it's not too bad. So you're then going to come along and you're going to have glue down here to glue. Make sure you've got this the right way. The front and the back. Now with any other mini album, you need to leave a gap down here because it won't open and close if we don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop glue down here, but I'm going to leave a small little gap, so I don't really need glue right down there, but don't worry too much, it doesn't really matter because we're going to be covering the inside anyway, so don't really worry about the glue. So I think for this I'm going to get my little sponge and dab the glue on there because we have our little border punch. So I'll get that and I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. Now actually I tell you what I've decided to do. I've got a little paintbrush. Another really good, great glue I recommend, Pinflair bookbinding glue. This is really good. Art glitter and Pinflair are probably the only two glues you'll ever see me using. Well, not probably, they are the only two glues you will see me using. So I'm going to put some on a non-stick craft sheet because I want it to, I want it to have a really good professional finish. So I'm going to brush the glue on. And I'm going to leave, I'm not putting it right up, I'm leaving a bit so we have our, enough for our sort of gap. And then I'm just going to paint it on. That's what I've decided would probably work best. Over. And you can see is what I mean by this will be the front. Now once this dries it will all flatten out. It's just because the cards, it's a bit wet underneath. And do exactly the same. Do the same with what will be your back panel. So I'll quickly do this and then I'll be back. Alright, so we have both of them glued. Now I'm going to take this little bone folder again and I'm just going to give this just a bit of a score down and I'm just going to start and bend it up just to get the shape. Now I'm a little bit worried that we've got that bubble in there. I'm hoping it dries back, but I think what it may be is this is Sizzix card, and as lovely as it is, it's very thin. I think it's a bit too thin. and I'm hoping it's not that which has caused the bubbling. I hope it dries, I really do. Anyway, that's what it's going to be like front and back. Obviously you can choose, you know, any card you want. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get this stuck onto here, and that's basically how we've joined it together. So because what I'm thinking is, if you want, after we've done this, we could really go for any size we want. We could even make a 12 by 12 maybe, or a 10 by 10, or whatever you want. So just let us know if you want us to make a bigger one. So again, glue on the rest of this. We want this to really stick. Get this stuck on to here. That was why we didn't really need to punch down, because when, you know, plus it's just more little fiddly bits to get glue on as well, so we don't really need that. So let's peel it off. Again, glue on the bits that the tape hasn't covered. And get this stuck down. Now we also, just put this back in my glue. I'll put the links for these tips. I think I have them on every video actually, because these things are amazing. Now we need to just score in here so we can allow this to fold. So just gently start to ease it up. And that is our beautiful basis of our album. I'm just so worried about this. I really hope it's not messed up. I'm hoping it's just because it's wet. So that's what the album is going to be. Now we need to cover the inside first. So again, I've got the same card, but obviously it's not going to be big enough to cover the whole thing in one go. So I think what I'm going to do is, this is a whole 8 1/4 by 11 3/4. I am just going to literally glue mine on to where it allows us to, which is just past the spine, and then I'm just going to get another piece and I'm just going to join it on. I think that's the best thing to do, rather than having a piece and a piece and a piece. At least we'd only have one and a bit by doing it that way, and it gives it a much more professional finish. And I'll just basically join it up to there. So you want loads of tape on here, even glue it in the extra bits and get this stuck on. So I'm gonna get this all taped up and I'll be back. Okay, so what I've done is, I'll give you the wrong measurement. This is 7 3/4. So 7 3/4 by 11 3/4. I've put the tape on, which we know is going to be for the inside, and it's going to just go past the spine. Then the next piece is 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. So at least we'll only have one join line there. Is that the same colour? Yeah, it is. So backing off, tape backing off, and let's get these stuck on. Now I will say, the main place you want to get your tape is right on the very edges. Get it right up to the edges, because if anything's going to peel, it's going to be the edges. So make sure you get your tape as far to the edge as you can on both pieces. I'm really regretting using this card now, So we've got it covered inside and out. I'm going to have to put glue there as well, but I hope I haven't ruined it by using this card. I really do. So we are going to move on to the pages and the way we're going to bind it together as well. And I've gone for rings because obviously, like I say, we are going to need it pretty strong because we're going to be holding dies. So I'm going to let that dry and I'll be back. Alright, so I just wanted to say as well, it's starting to dry and it's looking absolutely beautiful. Just this bit at the back to dry, but I've just pressed everything down really well and I've, you know, really getting it to stick, and it's beautiful. It looks very professional. So I'm over the moon. Now, what I've decided to do, these rings, these are 2-inch rings, and you just press them like that and they open. We used to use a lot of them when I was into like pocket letters and things, and I have like a whole little box of them here, and you can get little tiny ones which I used to make little charms for the mini albums, but these are 2 inches and we're going to need 2 now. So let's have a look here. So this is going to go in my spine. Now what we're going to have to do is, because I'm going to use my crocodile, now the crocodiles go up as far as 1 inch, I believe. So once I've gone up the 1 inch, I need to have 2 holes and they need to be 2 inches apart. So first off, I'm going to mark it with a pencil because I don't want to get them in the wrong place. And I've picked some gold eyelets because I've got gold in my paper. So this is what we're going to do. So it's going to come down 1 inch, roughly 1 inch. Maybe it's just a bit before 1 inch actually. So I've got a 1 inch pencil mark. I know you probably can't see it. So this spine is 3.5 inches wide. So what we need to do is work out the middle of it. So 1 3/4, sorry, so 1.5 would be 3. Then, so it would be, let me work this out. Okay, I just wanted to show you. So I've got the rings in, there we go, and they don't move either. So you're not going to be opening it and then they're moving around. They basically stay put, and then you just open them up when you want to add your our little pages for our dies and stuff, or whatever else you want to add. So we're now going to move on to the actual inserts for the dies. Okay, so our inserts now, again, because this is going to hold dies, we need it pretty strong. So what I'm making mine from is just packaging that I've kept. So mainly cereal boxes. Mainly cereal boxes. So what I've done is the measure 8 inches by 7.5 by 8 inches. Is that right? Or is it 7.25? Let me get this right. Yes, 7.5 by 8 inches. I think I've cut that one wrong. So what I'm doing is I'm getting 2 pieces, so 2 at 8 by 7.5, and I'm gluing them together, and that's going to make them really, really sturdy. So Now it's up to you what you do with this part. You could cover them all in patterned paper, you could use cardstock, do what you want, but do bear in mind that once we've covered them, we will be putting a magnetic sheet on them. So a lot of your pattern is going to be covered anyway, but you know, I can't see me really using this paper for anything else, and you know, we need to use what we've bought, so we might as well use it. So, and then you're going to want a piece of paper which is, I think I cut mine to 10 by 10, enough so it's going to have a good border all the way around. So I'll just quickly do one with you and show you how I've made them. So I've just took some pin flare glue and I'm just going to put it all around, just to glue these two cereal boxes together. And page wise, I think I'm making about four or five. I'm not exactly sure if it's going to hold more. It probably will, but the good thing is with it being on those binder rings, we can always add more pages whenever we want. So I'm just going to trim this off because it's slightly sticking over the another piece, but you can't always get them completely accurate when you're cutting them on a paper trimmer. So that's that. Then I've got my piece of patterned paper. Now if it's directional, the paper, this one is, make sure you have the 8-inch piece facing up and down the right way. Yeah, and then the 7.5 would be horizontal. And then basically all you need to do is put tape on one side of these. I was going to use glue, but I'm not, because sometimes with a thin paper you can see the squiggles of the glue through it. So just some tape all the way around. Alright everybody, so I have started putting the magnetic sheets and I've started putting some dies on it too. Now I will say that if I close it, I'm going to show you what I've done. So the problem is, remember before when I said the measurement should be 7.5 for these, it's not. 7.25 was right. 7.5 is slightly too long and they stick out. So make your inserts, the chipboard or the cereal boxes, make them 8 by 7.25 inches, okay, because they're now too big. So I don't think I'm going to put any magnetic sheets on, because I'm probably going to change the size and fix them because they're just too big and they stick out. This one's not so bad, this one's okay as well, and then I can put the rest of my magnetic sheets on. And there we go. I think it's pretty brilliant, and I've just put a little charm on the side of the little ring. It's really sturdy and thick. It looks really professional. I'll put the sizes on my blog as well, because I know I've given you a couple of wrong sizes and I don't want to confuse you, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could definitely fit another 5 in there, so probably 10. It doesn't, like, they are not flimsy, they don't move around because they can't get past through the holes. Now If we look at the top one, that's pretty perfect. This one here, it's buckling because for some reason I can tell actually I've measured it wrong, and the gap is actually only 1 7/8 and it should be 2. That one's okay, 2 inches. So it is 2 inches apart to punch your holes, 1 inch up, 2 inches apart, but make sure it's properly 2 inches. Like when you come to punch it, maybe even punch a little bit past your pencil mark, because that is way too tight and it's starting to buckle the eyelet. But it's okay, you know, it's fine for me. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you'll give it a go. I think it's a brilliant way to store your dies, and it just looks so pretty, so professional as well. And it's a really good sturdy binder. If you want to put a closure on, you could even put a magnet, cut a piece of card, fit a magnet under there. You could just tie it with ribbon, you could leave it, you could punch a couple of holes in the back with eyelets in and put some elastic through and then pull that over there, which I think I did that with my ephemera binder. So yeah, so hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, take care and bye for now.